Hey everyone, welcome to Love Your Body Podcast. On today's episode, we are going to have an empowerment episode. I first off just want to say I have been, running all over, just very busy here lately. And what I've noticed is, when it comes to feeling empowered and everything, like I just have not been taking the time to kind of I don't know, like, speak my mind as much as I have been wanting to, and, the other day, I actually had an instance where something had been bothering me forever, and I had like, for a while now, and I just kept letting it go because I was just been exhausted, I've been tired, and I was just like, "You know what? Just it'll work itself out, right?" And finally, after I sat there and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna say something." And once I said it, it just felt this huge just sense of relief, and I felt it was like night and day. And I don't know if you've ever gone through that, but for me, it's like this like pent up it just becomes pent up. Like there's just too many things I guess fall through the cracks and whatnot. And so for me, that's why I love if you've ever noticed on my Instagram or anything like with even with these, like we do the podcast, we get it out there. I post, I text back immediately. Like I'm very just like right in the moment, want to keep it real, want to keep authentic, want to keep it going, things like that. And and so with this, it just kept going, kept going. I was like, oh yeah, it'll get better, it'll get better, it'll get better. And it just got me thinking about when I sit here and talk with my clients and we talk about like struggles and feeling less than has been like such a prominent thing on the horizon right now. I guess with the season changes and just with people's jobs and people, just like different walks of life everyone's going through. It's like, there's this common thread of that lack of empowerment. And I don't know, I notice it at the gym as well when my clients will laugh when they listen to this, but it's like there will be like a male trainer that will be like moving something over beside them or whatever, or like where, and they'll apologize. They'll be like, sorry. And I'll look at them and say, why are you sorry? And they laugh and they stare and they're like, oh, well, I guess, I don't know. I'm like, no, no, no. Do you think that he like would really apologize to you for like moving stuff out of like our way? It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And it's just this whole thing of kind of like, I want them to feel empowered and feel successful and feel like they can stand up and say what they want to say. And so yeah, so that's something I've been noticing here lately, and trying to really reinforce is taking up space and focusing on, you know, being your best. And that means not kind of hiding under things and kind of letting things slip through the cracks and whatever, but like owning them, talking about them, and just, taking back that power. So, you know, I've been having multiple conversations with friends here lately, and I I think that like when it comes to loving your body, getting your movement in, fight for what you want, all the things, it can seem very empowering, inspiring, and things like that, and it is. And so when I look at why someone maybe wouldn't want to be a part of the journey or doesn't understand the journey or, you know, um, falls off or, it's like, it's this time of year, like other priorities get put into, place, right? Well, I think about it and I think back to when I first started my movement, like journey and everything, right? And how a lot of times I was very alone. No one was telling me to get up and go run. Nobody was telling me to go to the gym. Nobody was telling me to go do things. And so it wasn't that there was someone there helping me or whatever. And really then on Instagram, there was like no one that was even realistic to like look up to, or watch or whatever. And because when I was in college and started my journey, like that was right around when Instagram came out and stuff. So it's just interesting. Like I did not I try to put myself back in those shoes. And so I remember feeling like kind of what's the point, right? Like why even bother? Why even go for anything or whatever? But then I, would sit there and be like, why wouldn't I? Right? Like, why would I not try to be my most empowered and strong and best? And you know what? Even if it's not working, like seeing myself like, the sizes come down or whatever, it's a feeling. And I'm gonna keep using that to help me keep going. Right. So It's one of those where when I look back at everything, I'm like, man, you have just gone through such a journey and stuff like that. But I try to put myself back in like my new client's shoes because a lot of times, sometimes I'll just be like, oh, you get it. Like you see the brand, you understand, whatever. But then I'm like, but they still on a basic level, like they're, they're still, what's the word? Like, not this belief, this empowerment in them yet about like who they want to be or why they're even doing this. It's like almost like know they want to start, but they don't know like really what direction, all the things, and that's why I'm there for. But it's just crazy because when I look back at it, I'm like, I I just remember chasing after that feeling, and so. If you're having struggles with staying on your journey or having struggles like within, just like within any part of it, with your relationships or whatever it is, I know for a fact that anything that you can do that makes you feel more empowered, like you're going to stick with it. Right. So that is why I leaned towards doing half marathons because that was something I never thought I would be able to accomplish. Like when I say I couldn't run, freaking 10 feet in front of me. That's not an exaggeration. That wasn't because I was obese or I had like back problems or whatever. Like none of that. Like that wasn't the thing. Like it was just because I didn't train running and I didn't enjoy it, and my mindset was not there. But then I just kept going a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And over time, I'd run 3 miles and then I'd run 5 miles and eventually got to running half marathons and did not want to go any more than that. And so but I know I could have. It just that wasn't in the cards at the time and everything with my injury and stuff. But then from there, even with strongman, like you start lifting the weight, you get heavy, get heavier and heavier and heavier with the weight. So it all falls into place. And like I just posted a reel that a lot of people resonated, with and like really enjoyed. And they're like, man, this is great. But again, it was me doing pull-ups, kind of failing. I would say not in my heaviest, but like kind of, at a heavier weight and whatever. And then it switches, to like the other day doing them. Okay. Where I'm doing them, like I was doing them assisted with a band. And then this time I'm doing them with, without the band or whatever and on my own. And I felt very capable, very empowered, very strong while doing those pull-ups. And pull-ups are one of those things, and any female listening knows that just when you can do one, you're like, man, like it's a game changer, like life changer. Like you're like, this is just incredible. And you just feel so capable. And it was one of those things where I would practice them and use the band and stuff like that. And eventually I did get to where I could do some chin ups and stuff and then got injured and all that stuff. So it kind of was like restarting. So now to be able to do them, um, I do feel very strong, very capable. But it was one of those things where like a lot of people, see that and they're like, man, and when I look back at the timeline of it, I'm like, that was a year ago. So like, and really it was like 15 months. Okay. So let's just say 15 months, but like about right when I started with bodybuilding and all of that. So in 15 months time, you guys, not only can I now do pull-ups without a band and just do them and jump up whenever I feel like it. But I'm leaner. I've put on muscle. I have lost body fat. I have lost, you know, um, 50 and 65 pounds total, from show to now and stuff like that. Like just a lot has changed, but that feeling that I have has not changed. So the workouts have changed, the way I do things, the intensity level, all these different things, whatever. But the feeling has always been there. And the feeling I had to get to my lowest to find it. I remember, sitting on my couch in college, sitting on a couch in college and eating a calzone at, I think it was like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and being like, what am I doing? Why am I eating this? What am I feeling this void that, what am I missing? And I was missing that feeling. I wasn't missing, a six pack and, whatever and aesthetics and all this stuff and whatever. Like, that's great. That's whatever, it's fine. And you feel empowered with a strong body that or a capable or a body that looks good too. But again, it was one of those things where like, I just remember sitting there being like, I need that feeling back when I danced. And I need that feeling like with movement. I need that feeling that I am, this boss chick that I know that I have always been and that I will always be. But I just had to tap back into it. So I had to get to like my lowest point. And I hate that, that's usually when I, get people to, as clients and stuff like that, or people reach out when they're at their lowest. But that is when I know they're ready and they are going to be with this for a long time, versus someone who is okay with themselves and they're like, I'm good here, like I'm complacent. Like they're not looking for that feeling, right? They're just like, oh, I think I need to look better, or I need to be able to do certain things around the house, or whatever that is, right? Or I would just want to be a certain weight on the scale. And so it's just so interesting, looking at the difference in clientele and seeing like who's still riding with me, who's still going for, who's still fighting for what they want, things like that. And I love that. And we have such a special community. And with the Get Your Movement In Challenge coming up, I'm super pumped up for that. I have several sponsors, all local, who are just amazing. But we have 10 people signed up so far. I'm going to manifest it and say my goal is to have 50 people signed up by January 7th. So we are, going to be doing the assessments at NutriShop in the Gulch. If you're not local, you're more than welcome. Half the people are not local that are joining the challenge. And you can find a body assessment scan, anywhere. So you just have to call some gyms or call a different place if you're not local. And we'll ship out the goodie bags to you that have the shirts, sweat towels, gold bars, all that good stuff. We have the Move Fit party set for March 18th. So after the challenge, that way we can celebrate. But again, this is a fun challenge because it's just getting people accountable in this accountability group to help you keep going, because maybe you can't find that feeling that you've always, maybe you've had because you were an athlete when you're younger, or maybe you've always wanted the feeling, but you don't know how to tap into it, or like you don't know what the structured plan looks like, or you don't know, or maybe you feel overwhelmed and everything. You're just like kind of masked with anxiety and stuff like that's been happening a lot to a lot of people here lately too. So it could be several things, but I think just being real with yourself and saying, okay, like, do I want to chase after this feeling? Like, do I want to feel, you know, empowered? And it's like, I think that once you answer that, then everything just becomes clear. Like with me, it's like no matter how negative people were, no matter if somebody body shamed me, verbally abused me, whatever, whether it was people saying just dumb stuff or commenting on my body or food or whatever it might be, no matter what, I was like, I'm still going to be doing this because it's a feeling. And that's where too, when I post videos and stuff like that, like I think now people just expect it. Like they're like, oh, we expect you to work out every day, or, and I don't work out every day. I have rest days too, but, or I expect you to see you moving. I expect you to do this. I expect you to do that. It's like the reason that I do all of that is because it's a feeling for me. It's not a fitness addiction. It's nothing like that. I just love moving. And once that got taken away from me, with being injured, it was like, man, I was just a lesser version of myself. I was more agitated. I was more frustrated all the time. I was in pain also with my leg, but it just, it was crazy. I really do it for me before movement. And after movement, Danny's are two different people, I feel like. And it's wild. I really am my best. I am more clear. I'm more focused after I have moved. And again, it doesn't have to be a heavy lift. It doesn't have to be a whole strongman deal, right? It doesn't have to be a bodybuilding show. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? It just is movement. And that could be my fasted cardio on the stairs. That could be walking on the treadmill. That could be doing some core work. I mean, that could be just any of that stuff. And, and it's that has kept me going for this long, because I was talking to someone, another entrepreneur, about, burnout and things like that, right? And when you look at it, it's like, okay, you can be like, oh, well, I'm gonna be doing this. Okay. Or you look at like other brands who've like failed, or businesses that have closed their doors, and you hate to see that. But you get back to your center, because you're like, instead of being fearful of that happening to you, it's like looking inward and saying, okay, like, why would that not happen? Or why are you different? Or, why do you continue to stay positive? And that's what I asked myself. And I'm like, it's this feeling. And so, yeah, so I don't know. I feel, good with that. And so when I finally like stood up to somebody and like said something, and then like another, thing that I'm realizing is like, just like how I want to be treated and how I want to be spoken to, and what I expect out of people. A lot of times, people can say, "Oh, you're a lot, you're too much." They said that to me. And I know a lot of other women they've said that too that are independent, successful, whatever. And or they say, what's some other things like that you expect too much or whatever this is. And I was listening to some podcasts the other day with some of my friends that I've interviewed on here, and everything that they were saying as a male entrepreneur was exactly what I say. And nobody acts like that is like too much, right? Like when it comes down to just like the root of it of like having someone there for you, like romantically, right? Is what they were talking about, like their partners. And they're just saying like, that the wife or the girlfriend, whatever, that like, they were just like doing the little things for them. And that was like a huge help. And I'm like, yeah, like that is such a huge help. Like I have never been one to be like, oh, take me here, these fancy places, go buy me this jewelry, go do all these things. It literally is the littlest things. Like, you know, um, it's been a long day training. And at the end of the night, having someone like make you a meal, or if they know that, you're on your regimen and whatever, that like, just like coming by and somebody to see you, like the little things, right? And so it was just so interesting, like listening to that. And so I was like, you know what? I feel more empowered hearing this because I know that like that it's gonna be a different, it's a different lifestyle of it's expected as a male, entrepreneur or whatever to have your like woman support you or whatever. It's like that and like be there for you and whatever. And so I know that the roles have to be like flipped a little bit in my case. But again, that is not expecting too much. That is not asking too much. And that's not making them feel lesser and me higher or not equal or anything like that. It is just like that is something in a partner that like I would really love. It's just like helping with the small stuff and being there in support. And yeah, so it's just interesting. It just got me feeling like that actually made me feel like more empowered because again, it was like, I know that it's, gonna be, I guess, from society standpoints, like it's a little bit harder or whatever. Um, but when that person does come around, it's gonna be so much better than I expect because again, it's gonna be tied into that feeling of empowerment that they're gonna bring to the table, versus tearing down or making you feel less than, things like that. So I think that, when you're looking at everything as a whole, like we're looking at good movement, good fuel, positivity, everything just in general, like your food should make you feel empowered. Like your movement should make you feel empowered. Like the positivity, like the people around you should make you feel empowered. And if they don't, I cannot stress this enough, but get them out of your circle, get them out of your way. Like they are not needed. I don't care if it makes you feel good in the moment. I don't care if it is you feel like stuck and you have nobody else. Like whatever it might be, like move forward and know that you only deserve the best. And that's what I try to deliver as Dani D Fitness. Like and just Dani Dyer as a person is for my clients to feel special, to feel like they are taken care of, like to feel like that like they have that support that I never felt like I had, right? Especially in the beginning of my journey. Um and even up till recently, like I battle with that all the time of, I feel so empowered on my own, everything's going good, but like I would love to have other support. And so now that I'm starting to get that, like even the other night, one of my bodybuilding friends I competed against, okay, me and her have gotten really close, and I had said something. I was like, "Oh yeah, well maybe if you come down to Nashville sometime, then we could go to like this like urban sweat place and go sweat and do the cold plunge." She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, when I'm coming down there, yeah, I'll go with you." And I was like, "Wait, when are you coming down?" She's like, "Remember we talked about this? Like I'm gonna come help you with your MoveFit event, the March 18th one I just mentioned earlier on the podcast." And I was like, "Oh, you were serious? Like you're gonna come to that?" And she's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like, cause for me, I just thought she was just saying things like to be like, "Oh yeah, 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 like I'll be there." Like I didn't know that was like a definite plan. She's like, "Oh no, I took off work, like I'm coming." She's like, "Yeah, I can spend the night and then we could work out the next day." I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. Like that's gonna be such a huge help for me. And just having that support made me feel like I was doing like a good job, you know what I mean? And it was just crazy. So it's funny because it will always kind of hit you, I think, at the times when you least expect it, but you have to be open to it, right? And so me making myself vulnerable and like having a friendship and like taking the time to like cultivate that friendship, just because of, just everything being so busy and all over the place all the time, that it's like, in the chaos, that it led to me being like pleasantly surprised versus kind of being negative about stuff, like, no one's ever going to help me, or no one has in the past, or it's never worked out, or just looking at the negative side of things, right? So that was really cool. So, you know, I believe that we have to hone in on like this feeling that you have within, and that may be something that you have to work on and you have to build up and whatnot. And if that means that you have, people around you that bring that out of you, or a coach that you look up to, or, like with Dandy Fitness, like somebody that inspires you or whatever it might be, like keep it around you as much as possible. Like I am constantly listening to podcasts that inspire me, that help me stay empowered, feel empowered and strong in my choices with everything I'm doing with like the bodybuilding stuff, with, all of that, from my clients and like our accountability group, and seeing their positives that they're doing, and with my posts and things like, I mean, like there's so many things, like even my Love Your Body sign is in my bedroom. So it's like my poster, or my picture that was on the billboard in Nashville, and it's me doing this dance jump, and it's the avatar for the podcast. But I look at that every morning and I'm like, damn, like that right there just makes me remember, like, who I am and what my mission is, and that it truly is to break the stereotype of what healthy and fit look like. And in that picture, that did that, because again, it was something that means so much to me, and it helped it helps me to continue down that path. So I don't know. So you got to keep things around you guys. You gotta remember that. And I will say a structure, like I said, the meal prepping, to not have to freak out about where you're going to get your next meal, or get so hungry that then you make a bad decision, or not even bad, but just, overeat, or, undereat, or whatever it might be. And, or to not have your workouts planned. It's like, to say to yourself that, like, oh yeah, I'm going to work out after work tomorrow. But like, to not have a more specific plan, like, then you're probably not, because things happen, life gets tough, or things come up, or you're like, oh, I have to go to the bank, or I gotta do this, or I gotta do that, or whatever. It's like, if you don't have that accountability, like, you're not gonna do it. And so therefore then you get negative, and then you get sad, and then you don't feel empowered, and then, it's just a constant circle that you get stuck in. And so I want to make sure that we stay out of that, and we're not in that, gray zone, but we're up here living in this, just that positivity, triangle. And yeah, to focus on being our best self. So if you have any questions, or if you ever want to reach out to me, you can always DM me on Instagram. You can email me at dannydandyfitness.com. Please feel free. You can check out my website, whatever, watch my YouTube clips. You can follow my Facebook page, listen here, obviously. But again, like I would, I appreciate when I have that, what's the word? Like that, when people even reach out, or they share, or they like, or whatever. Like, I know it might not seem like a lot to you guys, but it really does mean the world to me, because it is spreading the message, spreading the mission. So if you love this podcast, like, share it with somebody. If you think it could help somebody, share it with them. If you think that my videos could help, like, please share it. Like, get it out there, because again, we live in such a society that it is so easy to not feel empowered, and to feel torn down all the time, and feel like you're not good enough, and feel like you're less than. And I'm just over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. People telling my awesome people that they're not good enough, or, people telling me, or, having, hearing these things. It's just like, it's nonsense, and it's negativity. And it's like, if you don't understand the message and the mission, that it's not for you, that's cool. That's totally fine. But, this is so much bigger than just me. Um, and I know that we can change how men and women, one, treat each other, but treat themselves, love themselves. And that is only going to make for better workplace. It's only going to make for better family dynamics. It's only going to make for better, just feeling better in your clothes, and just feeling better, and feeling, good with who you are. So Anyway, guys, I hope that you have an awesome day. Please remember to share, like, comment, whatever you can. If you're interested in the Get Your Movement In Challenge, please reach out to me. We'd love to have you. And until next time.